Hi my friends, welcome back to a new video. Today I have a special message for anyone who feels like you're going under the pressure. You feel like giving up. The title of this video is you feel like giving up because you're just before the breakthrough. So I want to share with you a very practical and beautiful concept that will help you to push through. You know that you're just before the breakthrough because you feel under pressure. You feel like you've been pushing, you've been doing things, you've been trying new things and there was no results. My friend, don't give up right here. Don't give up, my friend, because every time we start to feel under the pressure, every time we start to question, should we give up here? We're actually just before the breakthrough. Before we go into the video, I want to read a message to you. I felt inspired today to write this. Like every single day I share this on our Instagram community, so you can also go there and check it out, AttractPassion on Instagram. And it goes like this: to those of you who feel like giving up, know that you're just before the breakthrough. While the pressure may take you astray, this pressure is also a sign that you are tapping into an unfamiliar zone where gifts of new reality awaits you. Let's push through. You will be rewarded. Are you ready for this, my friend? Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we will go further. So I want to share something with you. Look at this. I have a whiteboard. There's me. And this is you. So what this picture represents? It represents your familiar life. This is you. This is your familiar life, right? And you've been living habitually, day in and day out, until one day something started happening in you. You've started questioning your life. Am I happy? Am I doing what I really want? Am I satisfied with myself? Or you've been wondering, like in the past I was doing more things I love to do and then I've stopped doing them because of certain reasons, right? This point in your life is very important because you start questioning yourself. Are you really happy? Are you really joyful? Are you really satisfied with how everything is going? And because we are in this age of information, age of massive distraction, it's more important than ever to ask yourself, are you really happy with how you're living? So as soon as you start doing that, something starts happening here. You start wondering again, who are you? And what you really want to do. Like deep inside, there is a sense that says to you, I was born for something. I was born for something, not just to follow the orders of others. I was born to do something, right? Doesn't matter where you are, who you are, you've been born for something. But then you come to realization, oh, there are, fears, there are limits, there are self-taught limits, there are limits of your environment, limits, financial limits, you've been told something, right? So you become aware of this and you find reasons here why you can't move on, why you can't experience a change, right? But you've started doing something special, something most people never do. You've started learning. So what you've started doing, you've started stretching yourself here. You've started stretching yourself into the limits, right? So every time you learn something new, every time you try something new, what happens? Your identity expands, right? You experience something new. You not just that you get a new knowledge, you also start questioning more. Is it really possible? Can I really do it? Like maybe you've decided to experience more financial freedom and you've started studying anything that can help you to build up your own business. And you've started expanding your knowledge. And what started happening here, you've started kind of pushing the boundaries of your known life. You've started pushing the boundaries. And what started happening here, it started building a pressure within you. It's completely natural. It's a natural mechanism. Every time we start pushing something, we start to feel under the pressure. But why it's a sign of a breakthrough? Well, I will tell you. You're actually breaking through this. You're breaking through your limits. And it takes time. It takes a lot of time. It takes knowledge. Then you need to put this knowledge into work. You need to practice, you need to experiment, and more you're doing it, more you're building a certain type of a pressure, like a butterfly that's being born out of the cocoon. There's pressure that is rising, or an egg before an animal is born, there's a pressure rising in it until the walls break. Or a seed, before it kind of looks through the surface, right, to see the light, there's a lot of pressure that is kind of compounding within until this pressure actually pushes the growth through. So what's the problem is that for most people is that this same pressure is also pushing you back into your familiar zone, right? So from one perspective, you're pushing out, you want to be reborn. But from the other perspective, this pressure is pushing you back into the familiar zone. So the question is only, who will persist longer, right? Will you surrender to the pressure and go back into what's familiar, your old self? Or will you actually keep pushing through until you expand to such a degree that you will see, well, I've done so much in my life that I just don't feel limited anymore by what I've been told. I just don't feel limited anymore by what environment told me. I just don't feel limited because I've experienced so much. Like, I've applied this knowledge, I started to feel better, I've started to feel more motivated, I became more consistent, I became maybe more confident in my social life, I became more creative, whatever is your thing. So we've started seeing a change. You've started seeing a change right in your character. And what started happening here, you've started pushing through these limits. You've started stretching your boundaries, and that made you tap into a new life, right? You've started tapping into a new possibility because your character now stretched beyond your known limits, and because of your consistency, you've stretched yourself into a new life. It takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, but that's how you're pushing through. So pressure is always a sign, you see? Pressure is a sign that you're actually experiencing a breakthrough. You're experiencing tiny breakthroughs every time you are under the pressure. So the formula here is truly to keep yourself in balance when you are pushing yourself through something. Sometimes surrendering is a hard thing to do. Like, you've been doing so much and suddenly you want to do less and more meaningful. Like, you want to do less but more meaningful things, right? And sometimes you've been not so productive, and you know that if you want to experience more, you need to become more productive. And it's another thing, you need to learn to push yourself, like being more productive. Or you may find out you're not so organized, so you need to build some structure in your life. Every time you start making a change in your life, you start pushing the boundaries of what was familiar to you. You're getting from the familiar self into unfamiliar self, and that creates a pressure because you're making a change, and that pressure starts pushing you back into the comfort zone, into the known zone. So the question is only, will you persist in expanding your familiar zone, or will the familiar zone push you back into your old self? Will the pressure push you back into the old self? My answer is always keep going, stay in tune with yourself, keep listening yourself. So obviously, if you keep balance, you will not burn out. If you do what you're passionate about, you will not burn out. If you organize your life the way that you can stay more in balance, like you do what you love, you do what is hard, and you also rest and rejuvenate. You take care of relationships, you nurture your life, you will be fine, right? Don't just focus on one thing. Make sure that all aspects of your life are becoming more and more coherent as you're growing into a new self. But you will notice that once you push the boundaries of what's known, something new starts happening. Usually, synchronicities are a sign that you're tapping into a new life. Like when you start, a book comes to you out of nowhere. A certain person comes to you and just gives you the right knowledge, the right insights, almost out of nowhere. The right advice come to you, the right video come to you, maybe this one, come to you and give you the right advice. You hear what you needed to hear. Sometimes you hear a sound, a music that just gives you the right insight, right? Those are tiny synchronicities that are leading you into more and more and more synchronicities. That's why pressure is a sign that you're breaking through. So the question is, will you really allow the pressure to push you back, or will you actually see the pressure as a sign of growth? You're growing, and more you're staying in that new self, like doing these new things, staying consistent with these new routines, new habits, new thinking patterns, new belief systems, or whatever, more you're stretching yourself, until it becomes a new nature, right? You expand until you've expanded so much that you've entered into a completely new life where so many things change. You start making more money, you start meeting new people, you start building new relationships, you start experiencing more and more and more breakthroughs, and things are just keeping up, right? So sure, it doesn't end here. Even this new life will eventually become familiar, and this new life has also new limits, where you again, this becomes, let's say, your new identity, because you've stretched yourself so much that you've started living a new life, but also this new life has still a lot of new limits that you start overcoming. But at this point, you start to notice how much more you're truly capable of. So it becomes much easier. But the point here is constant growth, constant learning, constant shattering of your old limits, shattering of your old beliefs, shattering of your old habits that are not supporting your growth. And this all is actually part of natural rhythm. Why? Because in nature, everything is expanding towards its highest possible potential. This is a law of nature. It's a principle that is within all of us. That's why anything we do, we're striving to get better at it. But fundamentally, we're striving to become a better human being. You are striving towards becoming a better human being. And to become a better human being, it means that you're constantly going through these moments of feeling pressured. Like when you apply for a new job, you feel pressured, right? You feel under the pressure. When you go and talk with your new boss, go on that meeting, you will feel under the pressure. But 3 months on that new job, you will feel more confident, and talking with your boss will become more confident, until at some point you will recognize it's boring. It became so familiar. You've stopped growing, that you want to expand yourself into a whole new area, right? So every time you get to the point where life becomes boring, or life becomes like stagnant, you feel nothing inspiring or nothing incredible or nothing wonderful is happening, it's a sign that you've kind of come to a certain phase of your life where you need to stretch yourself. At some point, you've stopped stretching yourself. You've stopped growing. And every time you come to the point where you feel kind of stagnant, you need new clarity around what is that next phase of your life you're looking for. You need new clarity, because it was clear what you wanted until you came to where you are right now. It was clear, you had clear goals, you had clear vision, or somebody projected it onto you. But now you need new clarity. like who you want to be as that more evolved version of yourself, how it feels to be more evolved, like what are the emotions you're looking for, and what's the meaning you're kind of striving towards, what would make your life even more meaningful at this point, who you're becoming, what are your relationships like, what's your job, what's your purpose, what's your mission, what are your goals, what are your habits you're striving toward, and so on. And you're building new clarity. And then you start doing it and you again start to feel under the pressure, right? So you start to notice, okay, I am breaking through, I am stretching my boundaries. Every time you're pushing your limits, pushing your boundaries, there is a pressure. But it's who will persist, pressure or you? That's how the growth is happening. It's a law of nature. So you can say, oh, life is tough, life is hard, or you can say, this is life. It becomes much more easier if you balance your life the way that when you feel exhausted or tired, or better said, before you feel exhausted and tired, you rest, you rejuvenate, you do things that recharge your soul, your spirit, your body, you spend enough of time in nature, you take care of your growth mindset, so you see challenges as opportunities to learn from, as getting stronger, as not seeing yourself as a weak person, but seeing yourself as someone who's willing to learn, who's willing to get stronger, who is actually in core divinely perfect, but is imperfect in character because you've been programmed, hypnotized, but also your soul came here to grow. Also your soul, as a complexity of psychological and emotional system, came here to overcome its flaws, to heal its wounds, and to make certain energetic patterns more coherent, which means to notice what is making you feel stagnant in your life, what is the most challenging in your life, and dedicate yourself to make it more coherent. For example, if you feel like it's very hard for you to stay organized, it means that your muscle for being organized is not managed well, it's not structured, it's not built up, it's not trained. So there's incoherent energy there because there was no, let's say, there was no practice for it, right? So it's just in its undeveloped state, like a child's brain, very creative, but undeveloped. But then you start taking care of a certain order in your life, like you start making certain structures and you start experimenting with them, and you start becoming more consistent with what you've set for yourself, and you recognize if you are really clear about what you will do tomorrow, it will be much easier to do it because you don't need to think about what you have to do because you have clarity around what exactly you have to do. It doesn't mean it will be easy, but you will notice that it's much easier to keep up doing something what you're clear about, right? So that's why it's so important to notice our flaws, to notice our weaknesses and keep shaping them. I would say what I found out in my life is that when you find your strengths and you find your passion and you make a certain type of a purpose out of it, like building something out of what you're passionate about, it turns into a mission. It doesn't matter if it's big or small, just that it feels like every single day I am nurturing this. When you find something like that, it will be easy to be consistent with it because it is your strength. It is your gift. But then because this works for you, it will be also much easier to work on your weaknesses because you will know, okay, this is how it feels like when I master something. So I will then also focus on my weaknesses and I will try to master them as well. Maybe you will never be as good at them as at your strengths, but you will know how it feels like if you, or what happens if you stay consistent with something. So when you're, growing and expanding and stretching your limits, you will feel under the pressure. So to anyone who's feeling like giving up, please don't give up. Maybe sometimes it may happen, that we're just climbing the wrong mountain, or that we're building the wrong business, or that we're doing the thing that was never truly aligned with us. It requires honesty, great deep honesty. But then it will also bring us to clarity, where we'll notice, okay, it was never what I wanted, so now I will start what I wanted, and I will keep up with it. So my friends, I hope you found great value in today's video, and let me know what you think about it. Write in the comment section your thoughts, and till next time, one love. Hey my friends, I hope you've enjoyed in today's video. I want to remind you that we've just opened a fresh new store called AttractPassion.com, where you can find all of my work. Original paintings, you can find prints of all of my art in different sizes, so go there and check it out, AttractPassion.com. If you will use the code PASSION15, PASSION15, you will get 15 off onto your first order. So go there and check it out, and to anyone who would love to work with me one-on-one, I'm offering one-on-one coaching. We have some free spots once again. You can go and check out the link in the description of this video, where you can find everything there. So go and check it out. If you would like to do something with the inspiration that you feel right now, it will help you so much to transform your life. I want you to do something with it. If you feel inspired, you have to do something with it. So my friends, till next time, one love.